Have you ever stayed up late looking up horror story after horror story? Reading so many that your brain starts to see things out of the corner of your eye that may or may not exist? Had trouble pulling yourself away from whatever screen you're using and making it up the stairs without running full speed? There's probably a reason you did that, and that reason is more than likely scary internet monsters. Creatures from creepypasta, beasts from ebooks, vermin from videos, etc, etc. You understand the terror that stems from considering the possibility of any of these things springing forth from the land of ones and zeros into our world of threes and Ds. Hello horror heads, and welcome back to the Scariest channel on YouTube, top 5 scary videos. I'm your horror host, Keegan Hughes, and today we're going to be counting down the top 5 scary internet monsters that can never escape. Close your windows, both physical and digital, because there are some things that you just don't want looking at you. Before we get started, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more viral villains. Outrageous, let's get going. Coming in at number 5, we've got the Blind Maiden. Our first contestant is one that requires some very specific circumstances before they make an appearance. If folks would, not visit this website during the active hours, we wouldn't have this problem at all. But curiosity tends to kill the cat now, doesn't it? The Blind Maiden is a website that can only be accessed at exactly 12 a.m. on the night of a new moon. They also need to have all the lights out in their home at the correct time. This means that folks can only try this out a maximum of 12 times a year, and that's if they get the timing right. If you're one of the lucky few to get in, it will offer you the choice to experience the ultimate horror. And honestly, who wouldn't want that? Years of advertising campaigns promising the same have desensitized us all. The site itself is dedicated to a doomed spirit who enters your home if you lay eyes upon it. Initially, it just appears to be a website full of photos, pictures of boys and girls with their eyes plucked out, faces twisted in fear, like a torture porn archive of sorts. Then, text appears. This website will take you to a whole new level of horror, a horror that will use all 5 of your senses. You must be careful not to click on anything by accident. You will be faced with a real experience of absolute horror. Click the accept button to engage actively in the experience. Now, at this point, most people would click decline, which then takes them to an archive full of mutilated faces. But if you click accept, your fate is sealed. The site will play a video featuring a silhouetted figure walking towards your house. You'll watch it as it enters your home and then walks into the same room as you. Users then freeze in fear when they recognize their own back, and the Blind Maiden reaches out to tap them on the shoulder. It's at this point they realize it's all too real and turn to face the maiden. Remember the faces from earlier? Well, you're about to become one of them. The Blind Maiden will pluck out your eyes and take a picture of you experiencing the ultimate horror. Do yourself and everyone else a favor and just don't log on. Coming in at number 4, we've got Jeff the Killer. At this point, Jeff the Killer has reached icon status. Anyone even remotely interested in online horror lore has heard of him or seen his haunting, grinning face. He's tailor-made to kill horror fans too. His modus operandi is to seek out and murder people who are awake way after they should have dozed off. This worries me because I always stay up too late, whether it's watching horror movies or reading creepy lit. So yeah, I suppose we could keep Jeff the Killer at bay if we all agreed to go to bed on time, but that's not gonna happen, is it? Jeff was once a nice young man who was very protective of his brother. Unfortunately, he did not remain that way. One fateful day, Jeff and his brother were attacked by some sleazebags. Jeff's killer instinct kicked in and he handily took care of the assailants. This was just the beginning of all the terror. Soon after, the police got involved and took away Jeff's brother. He had taken the blame for the fight, filling Jeff with guilt and sadness. After moping around for days, Jeff's mother sent him to a birthday party in an attempt to raise his spirits. What ended up happening was much more sinister. The very same guys who got his brother arrested were at this function and another fight broke out. This one ended in tragedy with Jeff being set alight and pushed down the stairs. Upon recovering, Jeff was a different person. He torched his eyelids off and carved a Joker-esque smile into his face before brutalizing his family in the night. Saving his brother for last, he murdered each and every one of them. When he got to his brother's room, he told him what was to become his most famous phrase: go to sleep. So again, I reiterate, if you have a habit of staying up till the wee hours of the night, keep an eye out for a pale figure in a blood-stained hoodie. Coming in at number 3, we've got Momo. First and foremost, let's be exceedingly clear about something. Neither Momo or any of the other monsters on this list are actually real. Time and time again, they are proven as hoaxes. They're just fun to talk and tell spooky stories about. So when you see things like hoax and moral panic, you don't need to worry. They're only as real as you make them. If Momo were to escape from the confines of the world of internet hoaxes though, we would be cooked. Momo is a weird, huge-eyed sculpture of a bird woman thing. Beak-like mouth, dark stringy hair, bird legs, she's a thing of beauty. At the peak of her popularity, it was believed that she would contact people using different apps and platforms. Sometimes she'd call on WhatsApp or FaceTime, or maybe she'd find her way into a seemingly innocuous YouTube video. Once she had the attention of whoever she was talking to, which was usually children, she would start to challenge them to do different things. Somewhat like the blue whale challenge that took the world by storm a few years back. It would start out easy enough with things like stick out your tongue or yell at the top of your lungs, but soon enough the challenges would get stranger and more dangerous. After reports surfaced of a young girl who killed herself during one of these challenges, the world erupted into a panic. It was then dubbed the Momo Suicide Challenge, and you'd be hard-pressed to find a news organization or mommy blogger who didn't give their 10 cents. As the notoriety rose, more people started to insert Momo into content. Copycats, if you would. New challenges popped up, and more people got scared. And if Momo were real and had this kind of influence, and decided to take things offline, let's just say the storm drains would run red with our blood, if I'm not being too dramatic. Coming in at number 2, we've got Slender Man. There are so many iterations of Slender Man, it's hard to say what would happen if he were to run free among the populace. Nothing good, for sure. But the specifics get as hazy as memories of people being stalked by the operator. This tall, pale, faceless, suit-wearing individual is well known for the damage he deals. If we were to boil down his behavior to a few points, they would be stalking, abducting, brainwashing, and killing people. And because he's so transient, it's impossible to truly stop him. Sure, you can collect all the pages and take your special pills and run at him whenever he appears, but it's not gonna do a gosh darn thing. You can be sure that if you were wandering about, a lot of people would disappear and die. This might look like donning a mask and shooting your friends, or potentially like attacking teens with a knife. The powers of Slender Man know no bounds. Okay, well, he's mostly violent, and that's pretty much it, but you get what I'm saying. And finally, at number 1, the Rake. To top our list of legendary internet monsters off, let's take a look at a creature that has all sorts of forms and no apparent motivation beyond driving people mad. After a media blackout following some interesting stories back in 2003, a group of folks decided to look a little deeper at what was going on. They did not like what they found out and probably wished they had left it well alone. After a bunch of online speculation and storytelling, a few folks came forward with some particularly chilling tales of terror. The Rake was seemingly a humanoid who would appear all over the world, causing witnesses severe psychological trauma. It often gruesomely injured folks, leaving their loved ones with nothing but the fact that he is the Rake. Apparently, eyewitness accounts date all the way back to the 17th century, as a mariner's log actually identifies the Rake by name. Another was found in 1800 that describes the creature as having hollow black eyes. In 1964, a suicide note mentions repeat encounters with the Rake and claimed it played a big part in their decision. They didn't want to be haunted by it forever. The most famous recollection, though, is that of a woman quite recently. Something woke her and her husband up in the middle of the night. Neither of them could believe their eyes at the horror before them. It ran to their daughter's room, leaving her body a mangled mess. The father tried to rush her to the hospital, but his car ran off the road, killing them both. Now the woman lives in fear, recounting her tale online. She records her own sleep just to see if anything shows up. However, she can't bring herself to listen to the recordings. A merciless, sadistic, inhuman, immortal killer. He is the Rake. Phew! I'll take movie monsters over these any day. At least those have weaknesses for the protagonist to exploit. These are like modern Lovecraftian beasts. No real explanation, just terror. So what'd you think of the list? Are there any internet monsters that I missed out on? Should I have just gone with my gut and included Shay St. John? Make sure you let me know down in the comments. Speaking of comments, let's take a look at some of your more clandestine ones from the top 5 SCP monsters too dangerous to be kept alive, part 2. Connor Adams says, I'm glad you put a picture of the one that kills people if we see its face in a picture. Me too. I'm excited to see how it all turns out. Rick C says, damn it, now I want to check what's Sunday. Well, I mean, if you're gonna make one anyways, mind whipping up a second? Hot Sauce Magic Box says, you brought Garfield Rule 34 to all of our minds, and now you have to live with it. I think I can do that. Just maybe don't think about the lasagna too much. Random Something says, bro, you know that even if someone drawed it and look at its face, it still counts. Well, actually, looking at the containment log, artistic renditions don't set it off, so I think you're fine. For now. And Mob Ties says, you guys really work hard with the videos. I envy you all. Hey, we do our best to keep the content coming, even when times are tough. Thanks for continuing to tune in. And that's all the time we have for today. Before I say Candlejack's name aloud, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more chained creatures. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.